morning, guys, and welcome to the show. Today we have a special one for you. And I know I say that a lot, and I know I say it a lot, but it's true. We have today Brian Mitchell from ARC Audio with his award-winning...
This is a Cadillac ELR, electric car. Not what you would expect, right?
No. We've talked about this car before on the show. You've won in College Station. What award was that?
That was the top 30 round, money round. That was actually 34 of the best cars. And then second at the Steel Valley Regionals, Triple Crown at Finals this last year, first place in IASCA Expert Division.
Okay, listen, Mike Tyson. What we thought we'd do today is take you for a tour of the car, let Brian explain to you what makes this car so special. This car is unrealistically amazing. You did a really good job. Not that I need to tell you that because the trophies on the wall pretty much answer that question.
I like to hear it though.
Oh, okay. Well then, yes, you win. So let's head over to the trunk. We'll take a look and see what powers this beast.
We have a trunk that has been upholstered to match the interior cues of the car. Alcantara suede with leather accents, matching stitching, housing 3 ARC Audio SE amplifiers. There's 4200 SE that runs the left side, a 4200 SE that runs the right side, 2300 SE that runs the 10-inch sub up in the front.
I'm assuming this is a full active system.
It is. What we did is to get the maximum power to each speaker that it can handle. We use 1 channel to a tweeter, 1 channel to a mid, and then 2 channels bridge to the mid bass. You always want to have more power in mid bass so you have more control. That's the most dynamic speaker in the car. That will make you or break you usually.
You sound like Jeff Smith.
Mid bass is where it's at. And then we have the enclosure up in the front that houses 2 PSA Pros. Everybody asks why I use 2 PSA Pros. Really, we're using 1, but I don't like the symmetry of a single one. We put in a matching one, and it's nice to, when we go to shows and we're driving there, to have spares of equipment.
1 is a dummy.
1 is a fully working dummy though. It's sort of like me. A couple of cool features just on the cosmetic. We've painted the amps and the processor the same color as the car. Center pieces here are silver, and that's how they come. The center pieces on the PSA Pro normally come black, so we stripped them and then sanded them so they match the amplifier. Everything flows throughout the car. Laser etched Evil ELR, which is the license plate and Instagram name for the car, is etched on in exactly the same way as the other logos on the amplifier that were there factory. And also added on the store name, store where we built this at.
You have a retail store, so you not only work for ARC, you actually still do what Fernando and I do. What's the name of your store and where's it at?
Liquid Trends Modesto. That helps me kind of keep touch with what's going on in the real world. A lot of times manufacturers are in a bubble, and I can go out and say, this is what cars are doing now. We need to make a product that addresses this, and it's kept us a little bit of an advantage for us. I've worked there for 6 years now and dealt with ARC Audio since its beginning. It's a huge help in the engineering department that I can come in and say, that's not how this works. Because a lot of times engineers will tell you, that's how that works, and then they never believe how it actually works. The upholstery cues, again, leather in the back is the same color as the seats in the front. Everything is made for easy access. This has a plug that unplugs for the LEDs in this, which we've already unplugged. Everything is built on a metal rack, so it's completely able to go back to factory. All of the power lines are TexFlex in red, grounds are in black, and LEDs are in green, speaker wires are in blue. So the TexFlex actually will tell you what color it is. All the heat shrink is labeled, which is a pretty basic thing nowadays, but it also includes QR codes. So the QR codes will tell you certain things when you scan them. Maybe the owner's manual for the amplifier, may go to a small video on YouTube, which I have some, that explains what part of the system that is. Somebody services this other than me, they can get in there and figure out what that is. Every single piece has a QR code on it, so you can take out every single piece and find out everything about the system.
You just made my life difficult. You realize that, right?
It's the next level. On top of that, all of the wires that are underneath the carpet that you never ever see include LEDs in the TexFlex that show you direction of travel of signal. When you lift up the rear seat, there's a pressure sensor switch that turns those on, and when you lift it up, you can see the direction of travel of signal. Again, it's just for, at a quick glance, if somebody's looking at it quickly, they can tell which one's going where. If it's a signal wire, it's going to the back. If it's speaker wire, it's going toward the front.
Now, I just want to interrupt real quick and say, he does this because he competes. I don't think there's a retail store out there that's going to be doing this for you.
There's nobody that competes that does this either.
I know, I'm over here behind the camera like going like this. Oh my gosh, but that's what we told you. This car is amazing.
Back to the ease of service, all of the panels on the back wall, again, the framing is all out of metal and unscrewed into the car so it can't move. If I need to access those processors for service for any reason, maybe I want to take them out and try a new mod on them, all of those panels are magnetically attached to each other. There's layers of magnets and each panel comes off, it's sort of like a transformer, and then you come down to this basic setup again at the end of it. They're 95-pound magnets on most of the panels because they're big heavy panels. We can take that whole thing when it's assembled and shake it up and down, which we have done just to make sure. So one of the cool things about ARC SE amplifiers is that the fins are on the inside of the amplifier. Traditionally you see fins on the outside, and that's how an amplifier cools. When we were looking at different things on the competition circuit, a way to get extra points, maybe make the system more reliable, I said, you know what would be nice is, since these are such a high bias amplifier and they have a lot of heat, how can we dissipate some of that heat? We did a water cooling system. And I said water, it's a more antifreeze glycol because it's a little safer on electronics. We ran water ports through the outside of the amplifiers where the chips are that make most of the heat on an amplifier when it's A bias. Ran a loop through, and then a loop through, and a loop through all three amplifiers. Put hoses in so the glycol can go from amplifier to amplifier. And then we use a small PC radiator that has 3 fans on it. The radiator is underneath the car with a small aluminum tank for putting the glycol with a small fish tank pump. You don't need a lot of fluid going through there, you just need to transfer that heat. And when it goes through the radiator, it cools down very effectively. Adding that in and then making it a little more complicated, because that's what I do, we had the fish tank pump operated from the microprocessor that actually runs the variable speed fan. The fish tank pump doesn't come on, or the fans for the radiators don't come on unless it's needed. Get up to a certain temperature and then it stays there. If it cools down too much, they turn off. You want it right in that sweet spot. We also use the Nav TV GM650. A lot of cars now, you don't want to replace the radio and the dashboard. Having a module takes the place of doing a radio, where traditionally you could spend $400 to $1,500 on a radio. Now you may be looking at your factory radio being able to give you that same kind of output that a $1,500 radio would by using a module. I switched out from a very high-end head unit that was hard to locate in the car. We used it in a glove box and had this kind of complicated system to make it work, to using the factory radio, and I believe that the sound is actually better going through the module than it was going through the expensive head unit.
And with that is a great segue to hop inside the car, and let's take a look at what he's done inside of there, and of course take a listen. What are we running for speakers in here?
We use RS, which is our new speaker line, high-end speaker line, RS6 in the door, RS4, and RS tweeter, which is an RS1, and we use a single 10-inch ARC audio sub D4.
Where is it located?
It's up in the passenger footwell. Takes up very little space. I'm sitting here comfortably in the car. It does take up a little if you had a 6'5" guy.
Yeah, luckily none of us have those problems.
Exactly. Cool things on that is I wanted something that matched the car, so I bought an entire carpet kit for this car, and I cut one square out so it matched perfectly for the front of the subwoofer enclosure.
Like I said, guys, I mean, LEDs in the wires. LEDs in the wires. You have the factory radio?
We have the factory radio. We also have PS8 Pro controller, the PSC, which we've integrated into the mirror. The PSC normally is a standalone component. We've split that, taken the board and the screen, volume control down here to where it's easily accessible while you're driving to operate the volume. Also the programming buttons. That way it's easy to hide. When you turn the system off, which there is a master off, the radio works. So let's say you take it to some place where there's a valet, you can turn the whole system off, the radio still works, but the screen completely goes to a regular screen and you don't see anything. The mirror also includes a radar detector display and 3 LEDs, which are the status displays for the amplifier. When an amplifier comes in for service, we plug it in and we get a series of flashes that tells us what the microprocessor is seeing. We've remoted that, so now I have the basic diagnostic tool that we would use at the factory in the car. So if there's ever any problems, we could diagnose it very quickly. We wanted grills to match. The grill is not on the 4 right now, but the tweeter came with billet screw-on flange. We wanted something to match, put it on the CNC, and we milled out grills. So the grill on the door is a larger replica of the tweeter grill.
I would expect nothing less at this point.
We would hope that it would be as good, and then the 4 has a similar one.
Is it like magnetic on?
Yes. Most people want to see the speaker. It's a very unique speaker. We make jokes that the center of the speaker is a juicer.
I was going to say, it looks like an orange juicer.
Orange juice, but there's actually a technical reason for that. It keeps that cone stiff. Lets us use a lighter weight cone than you would normally be able to do.
I see you have a book in your lap.
Like any good technician, we have
I must suck.
a manual. This is for competition. You should have a manual that lays everything out and shows pictures. Again, we try to take everything to another level. We have a actual book, a bound printed book. Have a new one printed up anytime there's any minor change. So it has current pictures, tells you the license plates, it has all kinds of things, diagrams, and tells you, just like any other technical manual for a car, what size screws are being used, if you need to get to this, what it takes to get this product out, what made it creative, pictures of assembly, disassembly, what the pieces are made out of, protection of the product behind the scenes that you wouldn't normally be able to show someone without having pictures or video.
Do you sell the books autographed, you know, like a copy?
We have not, but I have given away older ones, which I'm going to do today and give Dean.
Oh,
this
you're kidding
one.
me.
No. We have given them to special guests.
Dude, let me tell you what, I am the biggest book fan there is, and you don't know how much this means. This is freaking awesome. Did you sign it?
No, not yet.
Will you sign? Okay, thank God. Yes. Oh man. All right, guys. No, I'm not going to give this away. I don't care. You can ask all you want. This one's going on the library. We've talked about enough. Now it's time to play some music. Now Brian is unique in that he always finds a special track at every event to play. There are always this amazing tracks. Why don't we play the cool one with the where it makes your windshield sound like the one night I was.
That's this last Rainforest.
Yeah. So I'll put a link to it in the show notes. That way, if you want to download it and see how it sounds in your car, definitely do it for sure. I'm gonna enjoy it. Naturally, you guys won't get to listen to that much of it. We'll do the best we can. A couple characteristics about this song when you're playing it in your car.
If your stage is proper, you should get a 3D sound stage.
Yeah,
you should get
really
vertical
weird.
width, high depth.
And this song really, I'm saying it's murdering a system. I mean, it's definitely...
Oh, it's hard on a system.
Oh, yeah,
it's a very dynamic song. It starts out, it's an EDM song, more technical, you know, techno dance music. The first 30-45 seconds are a little mellow, and then it gets into a good
then Transformers hop in and they start doing Transformer
Exactly.
love. That's a little bit to as far as what you want to know about the song. Brian, thank you so much for taking the time out of the busy schedule we've had here on the show floor today to show us and share with our fans and ARC Audio fans and hopefully more ARC Audio fans.
More ARC Audio.
This amazing car. We told you guys how amazing this car was. Now you guys have seen it. We hope you enjoyed this. Brian, thank you.
Thank you, as always.
Now, if you guys want to know more about Brian, obviously you can find him at ARC Audio. And also, we're going to have him on the show. So by the time this airs, he's going to be on like a week after or maybe even that same week. So you guys will get to have some more time to spend with him. Super excited about that.
Me too.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. You have a wonderful day as always. See you later next time. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye.